Hi, my name's Steve Munkley and I'm the ambassador for the Grande Cuisine Academy. In our soup selection video, I'm now going to show you a pureed soup. Soups are very simple, as I've said in other ones, and making a pureed soup is probably one of the easiest you could actually make. You can use pretty much any vegetable and any types of flavouring that you like, but you're using the ingredients to actually thicken your soup. So today I'm going to show you a carrot and ginger soup. Probably one of my favourites, carrot and ginger, carrot and coriander. They're really two flavours that I get very excited about. So to just give you the ingredients, we've got some finely chopped onion and garlic. I've got my carrots ready with the chopped ginger in them. A few potatoes just to help thicken the soup. The croutons to go with it. I showed you how to make the croutons in a previous video. Some cream to finish and some parsley to garnish. So let's get going. First thing we're going to do is we're going to lightly saute off the onions and garlic without any colour in my pan, just to start the process. I'm using rapeseed oil, probably my go-to oil for frying in or doing most things other than making dressings. I tend to use olive oil for dressings, but for frying in I love using the rapeseed oil. It doesn't give it a nasty flavour, it just seems to work really well with it. So while that's heating up, we throw in the onions and the garlic. You can add a full white mirepoix. You could have celery, you can have leek with it as well. It doesn't just need to be that, but what you don't want is you don't want it to start colouring, because then you'll have a dirty black colour to your black bits in your soup. As I said, this is a puree soup, so we are going to finish the soup off by pureeing everything through the blender, and when we come to that point I'll show you the different alternatives you've got. And again, if you like a little bit more texture in your soup, you don't have to pass it, but again, I always think that I love the velvetiness of a soup that has been passed and it's nice and creamy. And as I said, we'll be finishing this soup off with some double cream. I go towards potatoes for a bit of starch. It just helps a bit. That's my preference. It's not necessarily needed, but certainly my preference is to have it. I'm going to be using, as it's a carrot soup, we're going to be using a vegetable stock here, which I've made. Again, with today's world where people are all into vegetarianism and veganism, you know, keeping the stock vegetarian makes sure that it keeps everybody happy at the same time. So there it is. Our onions have nicely softened now. Going to add the carrot and ginger in. You'd be surprised to get a real good carrot flavour how much you need to use. Very much supermarket carrots, they're not always that flavoursome. So, you know, using a lot of them will actually get more flavour out of it. If you've got the lucky ability of having a patch, an allotment or a garden or somewhere where you can grow your own, then even better. So I've literally got the carrots in. I'm now going to put a few potatoes in there, as I said, just to slightly thicken everything. And then I'm going to leave that to come to the boil and to start cooking. So the ginger will start to flavour. You've got to be very careful with ginger. Ginger is very peppery, and I don't think people realise how much of a peppery flavour it will give you if you are not careful when using it. So we're going to let that all come to the boil. When that comes to the boil, we'll let it simmer for about 30 minutes, and then we'll move on to the pureeing process. Okay, so the pureed carrot and ginger soup now has been cooking for a good sort of 30 minutes. You can see the carrots are now softened up, the potatoes are soft. We're now going to go through the process of pureeing this, checking it for consistency and taste. It could have been cooked some more, but I quite like it when there's a bit of structure to it. So yeah, we're going to move on. So when it comes to pureeing a soup, there's different methods. I'm going to use the RoboCoupe today, but you've also got a jug blender. You've got a small Magimix that is a little bit more a domestic product. And then finally, you could be using a stick blender. The stick blender's very convenient, but sometimes it doesn't make it quite as smooth as your other appliances. So today I'm going to use the RoboCoupe, which is here. So literally, as it's a pureed soup, everything is going to be pureed together. We may need to add a little bit more stock to this. I'm just looking at it. We'll see how it goes. As I say with all electrical equipment, be very careful when you switch it on to make sure if your hand is over the top, it'll get blown off and it'll get burnt. So if you haven't got a cover, then put your cloth over it and be ready for it to kick up. So there you go. It's okay, it's up and running now. There's many different types of blenders out there on the market you can use, and all you're really actually doing is making sure that the ingredients are pureed down to a very fine pulp. I can smell that ginger coming through, which is great, because as I say, the combination of carrot and ginger often works really well in soups. You can see you've got a lovely vibrant colour still, because we haven't cooked it for so long that the carrots start to go yellow. And the next important thing is to start tasting and actually making sure that the seasoning is correct on this. So let's just stop it there and have a quick look. As I say, really important that we always taste. We always taste. Yep, just got a mild flavour of the ginger. It's not too overpowering, as I said. I'd be a bit worried if the pepperiness came through. It definitely needs some salt. So while we've got it in the blender, we'll add the salt to it. And I'm going to show you again, with a soup like this, there's two ways of dealing with it. You can, if you're somebody that likes a nice textured soup, you can actually serve it with the pulp in, and then, or you can pass it out. Both of them are classified as pureed soups. I'm going to add a little bit of cream to it now, just to finish it off. So that's absolutely fine. So as I said, we will do two varieties here. Where's my ladle gone? There it is. Before I put it through, as you can see, it's a little bit, literally like a very soft puree of carrot, which is there, which is the product before it's gone through the chinois. As I say, it's just everybody's personal taste on this. There isn't a right and a wrong way. Put that one over there. Doesn't make a mess. And then again, using my fine chinois. This would literally just take out the real coarse bits of carrot that possibly haven't been completely broken down. And as I say, some people would, some people wouldn't. There isn't a right and a wrong way to this. Right, okay, so I've just passed it. As you can see, texture is pretty much the same, but it's got rid of just a little bit of that graininess by using that fine chinois. Just going to double check my seasoning again. Actually, it still needs a little bit more salt. So we'll just add a little bit more salt to it. And I'm sure that's now going to be fine. So I'm sure you can just about see there's a slight difference in textures between the two. That's just a little bit more grainy than the other one because I've left the pulp in there. And that one's a little bit smoother. Again, served with our croutons that we prepared earlier in one of the other videos. So there you have carrot and ginger pureed soup.